nights, neon lights, crazy dreams. AJ, Brock, and Zach scheming wild things. Movies that flopped or never got their time. They breathe new life with sequels on their mind.
Welcome to Frantic Nerdcast presents Sequelize It, the show where we take a movie that never got or didn't deserve a sequel and we make a sequel for it. I am AJ, and with me we have...
I am Brock.
And I'm Zach.
Tell you what.
What?
3 weeks in, 4 weeks in, I'm starting to not get the hang of this, but I love it.
It's... At first I was like, yeah, I'm going to smash these out, no worries. And then I'm like, it comes around, I'm like, oh, fuck, we got Sequelize It today.
My problem was that I smashed them out and completely forgot what the fuck I wrote. So, and that was evident from last week. I mean, we had a sequel, a prequel, and fuck knows where we ended up after the back of mine. But it was an amazing journey. I really enjoyed
think The
it.
Fifth Element was our best yet.
I had a lot of fun with it.
Our combined one at the end was probably the most cohesive one we've had so far.
Yeah, I think that helped too, that all three of the storylines sort of like
we're very similar.
We're similar with different tangents here and there, but no, I've enjoyed writing the scripts and plots. I've had this one, as I said, since we came up with the idea. This is sort of one of the first plot lines I had. I just had to flesh it out, which I did, today. But
very good.
I had the plot ready to go.
Well, like I said, I wrote this several weeks ago, and I fleshed it out yesterday, and thought, oh shit, I'm glad I fleshed this out.
Well, I wrote mine yesterday and today, but I think it is one of the best I've come up with so far, personally.
Ooh, okay, you've set the bar.
I'm pretty happy with mine.
So we've teased, but we did mention in the last episode what it was. But
Yep. So we're doing Superbad, which will be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of fun. A movie from way back when.
So how does the show work for those who haven't watched before?
Sequelize It. In this show, we've been given a movie with the task of coming up with our version of possible sequel to that movie. Director, actors, what happens in the movie, and how it connects to the original.
Yeah, and then at the end, we'll discuss the three sequels, and as we said with The Fifth Element, we'll merge them together to create the ultimate sequel of Glory.
So today, like we said in the last episode, but if you didn't watch that, it may be a surprise. It's Superbad.
Bingo.
So Superbad is a 2007 American coming-of-age teen buddy comedy film directed by Greg Mottola, written by Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who are a very famous writing duo, and produced by Judd Apatow, who is one of the gods of misled teen youth comedies. Stars Jonah Hill, Michael Cera, as Seth and Evan, and as some of their first major roles, I believe. Two teenagers about to graduate from high school. Before graduating, the boys want to party and lose their virginity, but their plan proves harder than expected. Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Rogen, Bill Hader, Martha McLasack, and Emma Stone in her film debut provide supporting roles.
It was interesting for me that it was Emma Stone's film debut, and I think you're right about Michael Cera being his sort of big first film, but he was pretty big
Arrested Development and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so that was sort of his kickoff, but then this sort of
it's not a trick, Michael. A trick is something a whore does for money.
And then he found from memory a little bit of the white powder, and wasn't seen for a little while, but other than just like little cameos and whatnot to fuel his vices. But I mean, he's great.
But then, I think it's the same for Jonah Hill. I think he might have been in a few things before, but this is definitely one of his breakout movies.
He was in Accepted with, which was like they couldn't get to college, so they make their own college. Had Blake Lively in it.
Oh yeah,
it was a really good movie. I've got it on DVD. It's very entertaining.
Ooh, that's how old it is, people. It's on DVD.
Yeah, I know, right? All right, well, let's get into it. I believe Zach is going to take the lead.
Yeah, I'm going to kick it off this week. So my sequel is called Superbad 2: Love and Chaos.
Oh, hello.
So in this sequel, Evan is returning back to his hometown after moving out of
Sierra. Just so people know, it's Michael Cera.
Oh yes,
character, yep.
Playing as reprising his role as Evan. Yep. So pause.
Just so people may not remember which character plays which.
Pause. Having all the actors returning as themselves in this movie. So Rogen, all those sort of things coming back. So So Evan, as Michael Cera, who is Michael Cera, is now moving back to his home city after moving away and finding love with his fiancée, Claire, who is a driven, gorgeous woman with a high-powered job that Seth also finds irresistibly attractive, and Seth being Jonah Hill. The movie opens with Seth, who is still the same inappropriate and wildly entertaining best friend, who has received news that Evan is coming back to town for his wedding to Claire. Seth, who is ecstatic, can't wait for a chance to reconnect with Evan and maybe stir up some trouble in the process. As Evan reconnects with his old high school crew, he and Seth accidentally bump into Becca and Jules, their love interest from the first. There's an awkward tension at first, but the nostalgia brings back old memories and they begin to rekindle their romance, putting Evan in a complicated and messy situation right before his wedding. Seth, noticing the chemistry, pushes Evan to confront his true feelings, leading to some hilarious yet touching moments of self-discovery. Meanwhile, McLovin, who now goes by Fogel in his professional life, but hasn't quite shed his McLovin persona, is back in town as well and stumbles into former police officers Michaels and Slater, who are now working together as narcotic detectives. Michaels and Slater, delighted to see McLovin again, decide they need to use his unique skill set for an undercover operation. The mission? To infiltrate a drug smuggling ring tied to Evan's fiancée Claire's family. McLovin's undercover role results in what is sure to be a series of absurd and escalating missteps that lead to an uproarious chain of events at the bachelor party and beyond. As Evans grapples with his feelings for Becca and begins questioning his impending marriage, McLovin inadvertently unearths a dark family secret about Claire's connections to the drug ring. The ensuing chaos forces everyone to reconsider what's truly important in life. In the twist ending, which everyone can see coming from a mile away, Evan, now fully aware of what he wants, calls off his wedding to Claire and confesses his feelings to Becca in a hilarious and heartfelt speech.
At the wedding?
Yes.
Or is it... Okay.
Yes. So the movie wraps up with Seth, McLovin and the gang heading to an impromptu alternative wedding celebration for Evan and Becca, complete with all the wild shenanigans you'd expect from this crew. Now, as this movie sort of follows Evan's storyline, Seth obviously pops in and out with different moments of chaos. So early on, Seth decides he's going to be the best man extraordinaire, researching every possible wedding role, tradition and duty, trying to impress everyone, especially Jules, to show that he's matured over the years. However, he keeps getting everything wrong in ways only Seth could. So we have the wedding speech mishap scene. Seth insists on preparing a timeless best man speech, rehearsing over-the-top Shakespearean lines to impress the wedding. However, he misinterprets poetic language as he starts to recite crude poetry he wrote in high school, accidentally reading an old poem he once wrote about Jules. He panics and, trying to cover this up, ends up revealing embarrassing secrets about Evan's teenage years to the whole rehearsal dinner crowd.
Nice.
There's the pre-wedding workout gone wrong. So Seth decides that he and Evan need to be shredded before the wedding. This involves following an intense fitness program, resulting in a marathon the day of the rehearsal dinner. Unfortunately, they both get lost and need to catch an Uber back to the rehearsal dinner, where they turn up sweaty and ridiculously sore. Seth ends up trying to woo Claire's grandmother after thinking the grandmother is totally into him. He tries to charm her with flowers, romantic gestures, and an awkward lap dance at the rehearsal dinner. Evan and Claire finally explain that she's just hard of hearing. Seth sheepishly tries to downplay his gestures while insisting she totally started it. There is the ultimate party fail. So during the bachelor party, Seth decides to spice things up by hiring what he thinks is a fire breather and a dance troupe. But there's a mix-up. It turns out to be something like a motivational speakers and a mime troupe. But Seth, trying to cover up his failure, announces them as it's the best thing ever. And then there's the final rescue mission, which brings about the end of the movie. McLovin's undercover operation goes sideways until Seth takes upon himself to rescue him, recruiting Evan to help. They botch the entire mission, accidentally tipping off the smugglers, setting off a chain reaction of chase scenes and slapstick chaos through the streets and wedding venue, with Seth leading the charge. He somehow ends up dressed as the bride at one point, where he's wearing the bridal gown to evade the smugglers, leading to the finale that's both heartwarming and completely ridiculous. By the end of Seth's antics, as absurd as they are, make Evan realise that some things never change, and maybe that's what he needs.
I love it.
I really like it.
Yeah, I would watch the shit out of that, man. I would watch the shit out of that.
As I said, every actor sort of from the first one was reprising roles, but the new character of Claire would be played by none other than Margot Robbie.
Why not?
I would say she was chosen because I think she would be able to play sort of that sweet, innocent sort of style of Claire, but then have that turn in her when
she needs the Australian accent though.
Yeah.
Just so like the whole family are Australian drug smugglers.
You know, as I said, international drug smugglers. They've got to come from somewhere.
Yep.
So I think she'd be able to do that twist where then she sort of turns into that drug smuggler side.
can see that
you could
working.
make jokes about how can Australians afford to live in America and all this kind of stuff the whole way through it. And I like that. That's good, man. That's very, very good. Very, very good.
That's a very good start. I'm going to say, look, typically what you want to do is achieve like the bathtub effect where you start high, go low, and then finish high. Now, I know you're hyped for yours. I don't want to follow that, but I think I should so we can finish strong.
Okay. I think
I'll go next.
that'll be a good idea because I think I have some crossover with his.
Yeah?
Semi. There's a couple of little ideas in there that you'll find that are in mine as well.
Cool. See, look, you guys, you were duking it out a few weeks ago. Now he's going to be besties.
I just want to know.
We're Seth and Evan, man.
I just want to know if this is a prequel, a sequel, a trilogy, a remake.
Okay,
What from you?
This one was hard for me. I had two prevailing thoughts. Both of them were sequels. Going several years into the future and sort of the main cast have kids and whatnot and sort of that family aura, or go to college. Because I want to do something similar, retain the cast, I went for sort of senior years of college. Because Michael Cera, he looks like he just came out of the womb.
He looks like he's 2, yep.
And Jonah Hill, he can pull off that senior college vibe anyways. I mean, we've seen him 21 and 22 Jump Street.
Yep.
He can he's got that vibe. So I think that'll work pretty well. So anyways, so for senior years of college, Evan, or Sarah's character, has not changed. He's still in love with Becca and keeps a bottle of Goldschlager in case they ever rekindle. Naturally, he receives a lot of flack from Seth, Jonah's character. From this, he's literally not grown up either. In the previous movie, you learned that Evan and Fogel or McLovin were going to live at college or go to college together. They do exactly that. However, Fogel was a quick dropout of college. However, because he didn't want to leave, he became college security and still lives with Evan. So there'll be good moments there where he's coming in and out of his security uniform, in essence not supposed to live there, he's no longer a student because they've got like on-campus dorm and whatnot, but he still does. Seth, again, gives that same level of shit from the first movie to Fogel and naturally around this situation. So just more of that continuous banter. Seth didn't get into the same college in the year that Evan and Fogel did, but he got in the following year because he wanted to follow him around because he sort of missed the boat, so got in the next year. He naturally, what he said, he spent a year abroad. He naturally brings it up all the time, highlighting how cultured he is because he spent a year traveling and did all this amazing things, where he actually just went interstate to somewhere in America. So he hypes it up that he's this well-cut, like, look at me and all that shit, but he just went fucking interstate.
So he's at Vegas, like with the monuments in the background.
Yeah.
The fake ones.
No. What I went for is more along the lines of like, because one thing I've got is like Seth, you can hear him saying things along the lines of, yeah, well, I'm cultured as fuck seeing the world. And everyone responding with, you went to Minnesota, you fucking jackass. Like literally just not even like Vegas. It's just whatever.
Yeah.
So as Evan is nearing the end of college, Seth plans a big ass party behind Evan and Fogel's back and basically enlists the entire dorm for the party. However, no one wants in. So no one is interested. They're all studious college students getting to the end, so no one wants a bar of it. Naturally, Seth still wants the party, so invites fucking everyone from the town into the dorm for a massive rager. And this dorm, call it 4 or 5 stories high, and he just fills it with people. So the scene is more or less set for a whole bunch of absolute mayhem within the 4-story dorm, which can go all sorts of which ways and whatnot. And it slowly escalates from doors being knocked down to walls being torn down to people turning up with guns because they hear rival gangs are there and stuff like that. Ultimately resulting in the dorm burning to the ground with no one severely injured. The mayhem will contain just excessive amounts of the above done in the same dark comedic notion from the first movie. And the silver lining will be that Becca hears of the party, comes along to meet with Evan, turns up as the building is burning on fire. And so she brings along a bottle of Goldschlager as well for them to share on the roof of the adjacent dorm, watching the other dorm burn.
Oh, I like that.
I like it.
That's a good ending.
So for me, from a director, Dave Mottola to return, cast returning, but we need some like famous cameos. But I'd love it to be people who have been known to party in the past, like in their real life. So people like Johnny Depp, RDJ, Charlie Sheen, things like that. So get them to turn up as themselves, like hearing about this raging party in the town and whatnot. I think that'd be like
I'd say you could bring in Channing Tatum or something with the like 21 Jump Street references. Exactly.
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like that. So,
yeah. Things like that. That'd be awesome. Just to massive amount of mayhem within a 4-story dorm, and you can just do whatever the fuck you want, basically. So that's mine.
Like it.
I like it. It's simple. I like that it's all in the one location as well. And I think you could have a lot of fun with like different things happening on different floors, and like Seth having to run up and down and do all like handle all the shit and trying to stop stuff. And
Yeah.
he inadvertently causes all the mayhem himself by trying to handle everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so that'll bring the callback like with the alcohol in the first one and stuff like, yeah, no, I'll get it all, and then mayhem ensues. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I would watch that as well.
Good.
It's kind of
too.
like it's kind of like a combination of Superbad meets a movie called 100 Girls.
No, I don't know.
Which was like an old school movie of like a dude lives in a dorm and lives across the road from like a female's dorm. And one night he's over there for a party and like the lights go out and he has sex with the girl in an elevator but didn't know who she was. Right. So then he pretends to be their janitor and goes through all the different floors, meeting all the girls, trying to figure out who it is.
Actually.
It's kind of like a mix of that with like Superbad crazy.
Like a late 90s, early 2000s.
And then there was a sequel that wasn't a sequel called 100 Women. All right, on to mine. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Superbad.
Oh, that was going to be my name as well, actually.
Superbad.
I tried to go away from that because I was like Superbad. I was like, because then you got the trilogy, the Superbaddest.
Yeah, so I thought about Superbadderer or Still Superbad, and I thought Still Superbad.
I'm kind of going for the if we make lots of them, it'll be like the Fast and the Furious thing, where it's just like faster and furious.
Still
fast, still furious, still Superbadderer. So all same actors, obviously, blah blah blah, same direct, whatever. Don't have all the actors returning, the only, but most of them are, and we're also going to have some other people playing themselves in the role in your sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So we run through a quick recap of where the boys are now in their lives, 20 years on from the original film. Seth, Jonah, is a stay-at-home husband who hates his life. He and Jules, Emma, dated for a while after the original movie, but split when she moved to Europe to become a model. He eventually married a woman named Lisa. She's a full-time lawyer and looks after the house and is pretty sure that his wife is fucking her boss. Fogel went on to become a semi-successful writer. His original book, The Chronicles of McLovin, became a New York Times bestseller. It was pretty much a remake of the first movie.
Yeah.
All right, so he wrote a book about the experience
of the first movie, and it became a New York Times bestseller. He enjoyed fame and fortune, but has been unable to come up with another great novel. His past 3 books have flopped. Evan Sierra has become a movie producer in Hollywood, in California. He works nearly all the time and has no real time for personal life. The film starts with Seth, who just stares... I thought I deleted all this stuff. I didn't. Who just sits there staring at a TV. His wife comes down looking very nice in a fancy dress. She says, I'm going to a work awards night. Seth asks if Henry will be there, her boss. She says yes. And as she leaves, as the doors are just nearly closed, he yells, "Don't fuck your boss," and then gives himself a little bit of a snicker. Yeah. He turns to the TV and sees a report stating that Jules will be starring in her first acting role alongside Jenna Ortega, Timothy Chalamet playing the Evan role in the movie, Tanner Butchen playing the McLovin role, and Jacob Eldory playing Seth. These are all like current male actors.
So
they will be playing the roles of them in the live adaptation of the book.
Yep.
He in the movie version of the Chronicles of McLovin, which they are calling The Last Chance. No fucking way. Those pricks are nothing like us. Cut to Fogel in his house trying to come up with ideas for his new book. Going from writing, taking cocaine, back to writing. His phone rings and it's Seth talking about the movie, asking questions why stupid fucking hot people were playing them and asking questions about Jules. He says that the movie is changing the setting to college to reach a broader market and that Evan is producing. This has pissed Seth off, knowing that Evan knew about the movie being made and that Jules was going to be in it. Back to Seth. Seth calls his wife and tells her to fuck off. He knows about the affair. Cuts to her while she's on the phone. She's on top of her boss. He packs up a bag, leaves for Evans, not before shitting in her favorite Gucci bag. Evan is on the set of the movie with Fogel. Jenna Ortega comes up to Evan between takes and flirts with him a little bit. Evan, being the weirdo he is, doesn't get the cues, all while Fogel keeps walking around trying to impress people, telling them that he wrote the book for the movie. Seth barges in on the set, pushing security guards out of the way. They have an argument and he gets told to go outside. While they're out there, Jules walks on set and she sees and they all see her kiss Timothy Chalamet. Seth gets upset, telling Evan that he came to try and get her back and they're breaking up with the biggest regret in their life. Timothy comes over and Jules introduces them all. She's a little awkward with Seth. Timothy wants to know if Evan can go and get him some cocaine for a party he's throwing that night. Evan, being the good producer, he says yes. Seth agrees to go with him just so he can try and steal the cocaine for himself and give Timothy Chalamet the shit stuff out of spite and to prove to Jules that he's still the same awesome guy from high school. This sends the boys into a dodgy part of the city where they try to buy cocaine, but the cops turn up halfway through the deal. Seth and Evan get away with no coke or Timothy's money, but Fogel gets crash tackled. As the detectives flip him over to arrest him, it turns out to be Officer Michaels, Rogan, and Officer Slater, Hader, who are now detectives.
I was going to say, if you didn't bring that in, I've been severely disappointed.
They greet each other and then ask Fogel if he wants to come and try and find a murderer with them. He agrees, for good old time's sake. Seth and Evan are trying to find where the dealer went as they walk past a house that looks like it's having a massive rager. They decide it worked in high school, so they head into the party and see if they can get some cocaine. When they go inside, it turns out to be the dealer's house, which is actually a gang house. Both sitting there super awkward, the gang members begin talking about how they are always typecast and that they are actually really smart. They begin talking about rocket science, philosophy, and all these fun, gnarly, really smart, out of place things. This makes Seth and Evan become even more weird. They begin to ask where their coke is. When shots get fired, it turns out to be a rival gang shooting from the outside. Turns into a full turf war. Seth and Evan drop to the ground, and as they were crawling around, dead bodies are dropping in front of them, and they see some cocaine on the ground. They grab it, and they go and run out of the house. They keep running until they see sirens behind them. They hear this, "Get down!" They both get down, drop the cocaine. Cut to Fogel with the two detectives. They're at a warehouse checking out the last known whereabouts of a murderer they're after. They tell Fogel he needs a gun, so they give him one. When they enter, they find the murderer sitting down drinking beer. They threaten to arrest him. He gaslights them to sit down and have a beer with him. They're stupid enough to do it. The beer is drugged and they all get knocked out. They awaken hanging upside down from ropes. The killer's sharpening knives. Fogel, in his awkward way, begins crying and explains that he's not a cop. Don't kill him, don't kill him. He just says, I'm a writer. And the killer says, have you written anything I know about? And he says, I wrote the Chronicles of McLovin. He stops sharpening his knife and he turns to him. Fogel? He pulls his helmet off and it's Dave Franco's character, Greg, the soccer player from the first movie. He takes McLovin down and says he loves the book and he can remember all the good times. They begin to reminisce for a bit and then he goes, anyway, which one do you want to kill first? And gives Fogel his gun back. Come on, McLovin, which one? Greg holds the gun at Fogel. He hesitates for a while, moving the gun between the two cops. And he screams and drops the gun, which hits the ground and shoots Greg in the leg. He begins to cry in pain and passes out. Fogel pulls the cops down and they all cheer. They then pocket some money sitting around on the bench and ask Fogel if he wants some. Fogel says, yeah, I want some, bitches. Cut back to Seth and Rogan. They're now in a prison cell. Seth uses one of his phone calls to call Jules. He tells her how it was a mistake that they split up and he misses it. Before he can finish, Timothy gets on the phone and threatens to send his bodyguards after them if they don't get either his money or the drugs back. Seth and Evan have an argument saying that it's just like this time he left him to go to college with Fogel and that he never gave a fuck about him. He didn't even like him enough to tell him that he was making the movie with Jules. They argue and then they sit on either sides of the cell with a guy who keeps trying to flirt with Evan, saying he's small and pretty. Fogel walks past and says, hey guys, with the two detectives, says, hey guys, they fill him in what happened and Fogel asks the cops if they can help. They agree to help, but the guys have to go undercover to try and bust Timothy Chalamet for buying heaps of drugs. Seth jumps on at the chance, but Evan is worried that it could hurt the movie. They inform him that anyone can replace Timothy Chalamet. He's shit. They agree, and a montage of them getting snuck out of the cell, taking drugs from the evidence room, and making their way to the Hollywood Hills to Tim's party. They get to the party and instantly met by Tim's bodyguards, who try to rough them up. The detectives who are undercover with them begin to take them on. The boys enter the party, split up. A little bit of a montage of them going through the party, seeing famous people, etc., etc. And they eventually meet back in the middle of the party where Tim is sitting there with Jules. They go to give him the drugs to Tim using the keyword the detectives gave them, but the cops never return. Suddenly, they're approached by the bodyguards behind them. And then the cops slowly run up behind, like, oh, sorry guys, couldn't help you. All bloodied and beaten. They struggle with the drugs, and then the drugs go up in the air, hit the fans, and then burst over the party, with everyone at the party inhaling cocaine. This cuts to a massive montage of the party just going fucking mental. Jenna Ortega comes over to Evan and says that she's infatuated with him and has been since they first met, and then just starts drug-faced making out with him. Jules and Seth hide in a small cupboard under some stairs and have a drug-fueled, deep and meaningful conversation. Fogel walks around the party licking and kissing every girl, telling them he wrote the book. He stops and says, shit, this is my next book. Tim gets crazed by the drugs and tries to hunt the boys down. It turns into a stick 'em up with the guards and the cop and the detectives. The police lights begin to flash and everyone does the runner. Seth chases Tim down and has a small bitch fight with him, then tackles him to the ground. Tim is arrested and the boys are set free with a little bit of dodgy paperwork from the detectives on the condition that they are in the new book as well. The next morning, Seth wakes up next to Jules. They kiss and he says that he'll never let her go again. Evan wakes up next to Jenna, who is staring at him. You're mine now, she says in a creepy voice. Fogel is sitting at a computer with white under his nose. This book will be amazing. And here's a McLovin come back to bed. He turns around and sees two half-naked girls and two half-naked guys in the bed behind him. He goes, why not? Jumps in. We cut to 2 years later. They're all on the red carpet for the premiere of the movie. Jules is pregnant with Seth. Evan and Jenna are married. The reporter asks them the question how they met. Jenna just says, I met him and never let him go. And Fogel, who has officially changed his name to McLovin, is asked about the success of his new best-selling book. The end.
Yeah, okay, I like it.
I kind of tried to go to the first movie and like take parts of the first movie, but then try and flip them a little bit. So it's got the same feeling, but different.
Yeah. I ran mine past Lisa, and the same thing. She's like, "That's gonna be a long movie." I said, "No, because if you remember the first movie, it's all about getting from point A to point B.
Yeah, it's just bang,
and
bang,
there's
bang.
just chaos ensues throughout. Like every scene is the next part of the adventure. So I kind of like all three. I don't really want to combine them. I think we've all done a good job.
I think they're far enough apart that they can link in with each other, like, if you know what I mean. So we've created yet another universe. I mean, we have the Superbad.
Well, as I said, like from yours and mine can kind of connect with Evan having a girlfriend at college.
Yep.
The party ensures Becca comes at the end, and they reunite there. So that sort of has that same sort of connection between ours. But I said yours, I wouldn't know how to connect with ours. It's because it's just it's different, but it's so good.
But that's the thing. Like you can do enough of a time period where like mine happens at the end of college, yours happens several years after. That one can be really close to that one as well. Like they can still be that continuation. Like the stuff that's happening here could be happening in the like sort of in the background of those relationships and whatnot. And
you could almost have your movies going to a trilogy aspect here. But your movie could be sort of the precursor to yours, where that's where Jules and Seth break up because he's immature because of this party and all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
And that's where sort of like Becca comes on the scene, but leaves or something like that. Because then Evan.
Oh, she's on the scene for like 2 minutes at the end. Really.
But yeah, like Evan gets into successful his uni. That leads into like you could have at the end. Oh yes, guess what? You've got a basic producer position or something in one of the movies to start off that career, and that then leads into yours later on, where it's time has passed and that sort of thing. And
rather than he's not doing his second book, he's trying to finish the trilogy.
Yep.
So he's trying to. He always wanted to do an epic trilogy of books. So he's got one, he's got two, and then
mine could be the second book, and then in his movie, he's trying to finish the third book. So he's trying to do a book in each one kind of thing. So he already wrote the first book, which was the first movie, hugely successful. So he's trying to write a second one, which he gets super successful in this one, which makes them all semi-famous. And that's why he's getting to marry a super rich chick in the third one.
And it ties in with the drugs as well, and how they sort of met in some way, shape, or form. Like in the background, at least, they might have got introduced.
And it could be instead of Margot Robbie, the bride could be Jenna Ortega in his movie, and it's actually Jenna Ortega's family, and it's just a super over the top version of her, and it's like she's just a drug, like her family's drug mule kind of thing, and it could be instead of being married at the end of mine, it could be they're engaged, which then cuts to the third one.
Yeah, so probably not necessarily engaged because there'll be a time period, so they're probably dating and then eventually goes back into into that. And again, you could have that link of Becca being sort of not so much a big star in your two movies, but she's just sort of there for cameo appearances and things, and then obviously it becomes the focus in the third one again.
Or she could be, you could put Becca in mine. So, because they get back together in yours.
Well, they don't actually get back together. She heard about a party. Like, yes, they've still got the hots for each other, but they turn up at the end of the movie and it doesn't go anywhere because it's the end of the movie. So they've got their bottle of Goldschlager each and they just watch the world burn.
Watching. You see the world burn. Yeah. Evans found out he's going off to Hollywood. Yeah.
Or
She's there for one last night.
They could make it so that they realise at the end of your movie, they're not meant to be together. It's just best friends. And that's why they sit there and watch the world burn. So you could have her as a sort of best friend in this one that he kind of calls every now and then.
Yeah.
You could even have her in yours as Jules' assistant.
She could be she could be like Jules, like, or Jenna Ortega's assistant, or whichever actor you get to play that character. It could be the assistant of that character, that actor. And so it's kind of like she's the go-between who's like, Jenna Ortega keeps wanting to call him, and it's like she has to get her to call him and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And eventually they meet, which then would all this shit happens, and he writes the book, becomes successful. Cut to your movie, which is the drug mule
because
movie.
at the end of your movie, he would have finished the first one and becomes the bestseller, McLovin.
Yep.
Then he's trying to recapture that fame in AJ's, and then he sort of, in the backdrop of my movie, is McLovin doing the press tour and things of the second one, which is why he's back in the hometown sort of thing for that reason.
Yeah, that's why they're all back in the hometown. So he's married, blah, 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 and then, coming back to do the press tour. Look at that. We've made a trilogy.
I mean, the calls will be coming in again.
I honestly think these are the best ones we've done, in my opinion.
I think they've actually been the first ones that are good enough to stand alone, because the other ones we sort of needed to take bits and pieces, if you know what I mean, to make that one that we've got. But this has been the good to have that, if you know what I mean.
I think the other one that was similar to that would have been basketball. Because I think when we did Warcraft, when we did Fifth Element, there are like heavy lore things and other things in that movie that require you to do something in certain ways.
Sure.
Where basketball and Superbad, they're designed to be chaos. Like you can do anything, you can go anywhere, and you can you can create any sort of storyline and have it be plausible because you're not restricted by.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right.
These two characters can't comprehend, or these two races sort of thing in Warcraft. So like I think it for that reason allows everything to just go nuts and work.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, you tell us below which one of our stories you preferred, or if you liked our trilogy idea, which one would you watch? Would you not watch them? All that kind of stuff. Chuck it in the comments down below. Also make sure you subscribe while you're there. Now, we're going to change things up now for future Sequelize It episodes. Instead of sort of deciding, we're going to do this one, we're going to randomize it at the end of every episode. So we need a random number generator.
Could involve heavy watching between now and in 2 weeks. So.
Well, not heavy watching, just one movie watching, potentially.
Okay, so we're going to randomize number between 1 and 6, and we are going to do number 17. We're going to do a sequel for District 9.
Okay. Yeah,
all right.
I like this.
I put this movie in as a recommendation from my mate Sam, who's like, this was a baller movie that needs a sequel, so he will be ecstatic.
It was meant to get a sequel.
It was,
but it never happened. And I think he did Chappie instead.
Yep.
Because he went to work on the Halo movie, which never happened, which got turned into Elysium.
Yep.
And then he went to do it again, but then he ended up making Chappie.
Yep.
Which is kind of a spiritual successor, but not at all.
It's
like robots instead of aliens kind of thing.
Kind of like it was good. It was only one robot from memory because it was like generating that first AI that had the response and whatnot. Had Mr. Jackman in it.
It did, yeah.
But it had I've just gone blank. The South African Dartwood, and they were awesome because I didn't think they were going to be like the main actors in that, and they were, and I thought it was awesome.
It will require, because I haven't seen that movie in forever, so I know District I've seen 9. It. I know it's brilliant, but I need to.
And it kind of ends at a point where you're like, this could have a sequel very easily.
It ended so well that you're like, this doesn't need any more, but fuck, I want more.
Okay, so here's the number one rule for the movie, though. No Googling what the idea for the sequel was.
Okay.
So you have to come up with a 100% original movie.
That definitely popped into my head.
We want original ideas.
Yep.
All right. Well, what do we got here? Yeah.
Yeah, well, I said thanks for listening, guys. So as we said, please like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comment section what sequel idea you liked, whether it was Brock's, AJ's, mine, or our trilogy on top of the original idea. But yeah, let us know, and we look forward to talking about District 9 in the future.
Yeah, and you can find the main podcast on the YouTubes or on anywhere you find podcasts, so Apple, Spotify, Hard FM, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So Sequelize It. It's a fortnightly show, so if you liked it, be sure to let everyone you know what's going on. Be sure to give it a watch. As Zach said, share it around, like, subscribe, let everybody know. We'll be back in another 2 weeks where we will be doing a sequel to District 9.
I look forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be
fucking oath.
awesome. All right, see you guys.
Catch you guys.
Late nights, neon lights, crazy dreams. AJ, Brock, and Zach scheming wild things. Movies that flopped or never got their time. They breathe new life with sequels on their mind.